it's I just love sport. I just love it so much. And it's funny. The funny thing is that my children aren't really into it as much. Um, but when it comes to the big occasions like the World Cup right now, the Rugby
Yeah.
World Cup, it's absolutely hilarious because you know we literally see these grown men beating each other up.
I used to be one of them.
I know. And it's like, you've got ears hanging off, you've got blood coming down, you know, and they get up and they don't even look for a plaster or anything like that. You've got bandages and
The best analogy I've ever had is well, rugby players, I guess, and American football. You
yeah,
spend 80 minutes convincing everyone you're fine.
I love that. That is so good because I mean we watched some of the women's game. It must have been a year or so ago. I think was there a World Cup?
Yeah, it was World Cup last year, I think.
Was it rugby league for
No
women?
union. I think it
Union.
was union.
So, okay, because there was one game. I think it was. Did we have the Rugby World League World Cup as well
I
recently?
think so.
Yeah,
What, men's or women's?
I think the women's because
I think the women lost in the final last year.
oh, okay,
I
because there
think.
was we watched a game and some of the game and there's one woman and she literally was steamrolling everyone. Everyone,
It's good to be that person, not the one on the receiving end.
she was literally flattening people. Absolutely, it was just like, what is this? What is this game? But I mean, you stood out to me because there's just so much that you've done. And now, you're a barrister right now? Are you
Yeah, I'm looking for pupillage though, so unregistered, but I passed.
registered and
Unregistered,
you
unregistered.
passed the bar?
Yeah, I passed the bar.
Honestly, it's so good to see because I love to hear about how this all came about because I
Mm,
my background is sport, as you know as well, but I love the mindset side of it now. I love to speak to people who have, you know, they've done extraordinary things. And
mm,
I love to share it with people who maybe haven't got that, they don't look at themselves that they're able to potentially do certain things
mm.
because of the way they view themselves, maybe the way they've been spoken to when they're younger or whatever it is. So I'm reaching out to as many people as I can because I'm interested in what you've done.
Mm,
Because what you've done is going to encourage people, so many people you probably won't even ever meet them. Do you know
mm.
what I mean? And when I saw what you've done to do to play rugby union and then go to the football league and it's just crazy. And now to do to be practicing as a barrister and on your way to doing all that. Because I was looking at your thing you've written on your profile, and it's so inspiring.
Thank you very
So
much.
inspiring. So I know I don't want to obviously take up too much of your time, but it's just the way that you had a phone call when you was at Loughborough and suddenly
Mm.
you're on a completely different journey. Tell us how that came about.
Um, well, there's so many different starting points that all have the same end, I guess.
Okay.
One of the consistent themes is picking up the phone when it calls. So I was a bit about my family background.
Yeah.
So to the very beginning, my grandparents, both sides, part of the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
So my mum is Dominican Antiguan and my dad's Guyanese.
Yeah.
Uh, my mum's youngest of 12. So
Wow.
only two of them were born in England.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, I'm second generation. And then my dad was also born here. Went back to Guyana to go to school for some years. But then my dad was a ABA championship boxer, won the ABAs in 1985, became a
Yeah.
police officer instead of turning professional, and then with the encouragement of my mum, became a criminal barrister. And I was able to witness
Okay.
both of my parents while I was a child getting their degrees.
Yeah.
I saw how difficult it was for them juggling childcare
Yeah.
and everything like that. So I ended up going to um, boarding school in High Wycombe for the weekly boarder, Monday to Friday, just because I didn't really like any of the schools in my area.
Yeah.
And brother was being chased home from school. and suffered a lot of racism and
Oh,
damaging racism at his local school as well. So I'm 4 years younger than him, and I kind of saw
yeah,
that, knew that I wanted something different. So my parents were able to find a way to send me to High Wycombe,
yeah, yeah,
which I'm eternally grateful for, because that honestly did change my life. And while I was there, played really high level of schoolboy rugby, but was never in an academy.
yeah.
Then went to Loughborough to study geography and economics. And in my final year of university, that's when I got the phone call. I was driving up to York to fit gym platforms, which was my part-time job.
That's the job. Yeah.
And Worcester Warriors needed a stand-in for a reserve fixture. I got my boots, my gum shield, drove down, played really well. They asked me back the week after,
What
played really
position?
well again. Second row. Yeah,
Okay.
second row. And
Yeah.
then 4 weeks later, I signed my first professional contract in the changing room before
Four
my
weeks
debut.
later.
Yeah, before my debut, and scored in front of a packed house on Friday night. So that's my journey into
Wow.
professional. So it very nearly didn't happen. The only
Yeah.
reason why I got called was because I was actually the fourth choice with my university team, because the university played on Saturday in the National Leagues and National League
Yeah.
Two, and
Yeah.
the A League game was on a Monday. So so you have two second rows who obviously start, one on the bench,
Yeah.
who played on Saturday. So then, because I didn't play on that Saturday, I
Yeah.
was the one who got a phone call on the Monday, and if I hadn't picked up, it would have been someone else who went down. And so then none of the rest of it would have ever happened. But
Isn't that
one thing,
incredible? That's absolutely
yeah.
amazing. Honestly, it's just
So that was
like
the journey. That was the journey
perfect
into
timing.
professional sport. Yeah, it really was. It really was. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that the speed of that, that's like,
Mhm.
how, you just don't hear of that. How can you be playing 4 weeks later? To this sound of, and 4 weeks later, you're like signing professional papers. I mean,
Mhm.
what made you decide to sign?
I said to my mum, I haven't had a gap year, so can I have a year? I sold her for a year. I said, look, let me do it, please. Like, I want to see what I can do. I've never been in an academy, never played county rugby, Southwest England, none of the representative honours.
Yeah.
And so when I played for that reserve fixture, that was the pride of my career at that stage.
Yes.
Um, and I was finishing my degree, graduating in the June. So I played on and off professionally during my final year of university, which was quite tough to juggle. And then started full time at the end of that third year. So I had my degree in my pocket.
Yeah.
I was originally looking at grad schemes in finance, like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley kind of thing.
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah.
But again, actually was, I guess, being faced with the harsh reality that, I'm 6'9", and I don't
You're
know that.
6'9".
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that the financial world would have been too welcoming for me at
Yes.
that time. And I'm actually happy that I've gone the route that I've gone, because rugby almost in a way allowed me more time to truly consider exactly the path that I want to take, instead of, I wanted to do finance. I do like the numbers, and I like the element of like a high octane environment and things like that. But fundamentally, I guess at the time as a 20-year-old, you don't really know exactly what you want. And
No,
my
it's so
my
true.
playing career has really given me the opportunity to delve deeper into what I truly want for myself, instead of kind of looking
Mhm.
around me and thinking what is externally valued.
Yeah, so that's interesting to hear what you thought of the finance world at that time. I mean, okay, 6'9". I mean, why should that play such a significance in your decision making? Was there more
I
to
think it's because
that?
all of the interviews that I was going to, I was the only person of color.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
also given my stature as well, it was very evident that I was
yeah,
different.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
that played a big factor into it.
That makes a lot of sense because I've seen it. I've seen, I've worked in London, in the city myself, and um, few and far between. It's a
Mhm.
few years ago now, but few and far between people of color in that space. It's changing quite a lot now. Um,
Mm.
but if you say 10 years ago or so,
Yeah, so going back 10 years.
yeah, okay, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but that's when I was there, and you didn't see a lot. And the
Mm.
ones that I saw, I was just like, you know, you get this thing where they say, the first black person to do this, and it's like, what's the thinking behind that? Is it that people are surprised that a black person can do so well, or is it,
Mm.
the fact that they've been accepted?
Mm.
I just always wonder why people were so surprised when they see a high achiever of people.
Mm.
You know, it shouldn't be a surprise because there's many high achievers. People just aren't aware of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I've been blessed with in terms of what the platform sport's given me is
Yeah,
I can be a visible person in spaces that are non-traditional in terms of it's easy to put someone of my size and color in the sports world, but
yeah,
then navigating what I'm about to do and doing in terms of the legal world and becoming a barrister, it's then again stepping into a different arena to try
yes,
and
it
to
is.
prove that it is possible, and also whether it's an athlete thinking that they're more than their body and their physical labor, or
Mm.
whether it's just a young person seeing someone show up in the space who they can relate to.
Yeah, and it's so important. It's so important because I know when I was growing up, I didn't see many people, doing the stuff that you're doing.
Mm.
And what I love about the generation coming up is that they've got the confidence. Uh,
Mm.
they've got the confidence to go for what they want. You know,
Yeah.
and you were saying that in what you were saying that it gave me a chance to figure out what I wanted because when you're 18, 19, 20, you can have an idea of what you want, but then most times you don't get an opportunity to see what it's like before you decide.
Yeah.
And that
Exactly.
that that can be a problem because you can actually end up there and you can be stuck in a place where you don't really want to be simply because somewhere has opened up. But if you get an opportunity to think about what you want, like you have, um, and there's life beyond sport because sport is quite a short career, and to think about that while you're playing as well is was it's just so important because you hear about a very high percentage of people in sport once they finish they struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle mentally, they struggle financially. We talk about NFL players. 90,
Yeah.
almost higher than 90% of them, they lose their money within the
3 years.
yeah,
Three
you
years.
know about that
That
already.
broke within 3 years. Yeah.
But
I've
yeah,
seen it.
and why does that happen? What do you think?
I think it's multiple things. I think it's financial literacy, financial knowledge in terms of managing. A lot of players you have from disadvantaged communities, then especially with the NFL,
Yeah,
if they do make it, they're presented with more money than they've ever been exposed to in their community. And then it's people they have to take care of. It's financial responsibilities for, say, children, dependents, as well as cousins, uncles, aunts. It's the fact that there are actually financial predators out there in terms of advisors who give them bad advice just to skim off the top.
yeah.
And then on top of that as well, a lot of people think that they're going to have a 10-year career when the
Mm.
average is 2.8, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really, really short. It's
oh
really,
my
really short.
goodness.
Yeah, it's not a long career in the
I had
NFL.
no idea.
Yeah. I think rugby is 6 or 7 and
Yeah,
NFL is 2.8 because you've got competition. There's only 32 teams. So for my position, there were 32 teams, 3 players on a team. So less
mm,
than 100 jobs in the world. And every year there's someone trying to take your job. So it's the competition
mm,
side. There's almost 100% injury rate. So you're going to get injured at some point, and it's
mm,
how whether you can play through or whether you can bounce back quickly, and if you're good enough for them to wait for you.
mm.
And then beyond that as well, it's a lot of guys have reached their final destination in terms of their dreams from when they're a kid about being in the NFL and everything that comes with it. And they
Mm,
live a lifestyle that they can maintain while they're playing. And then they
mm.
try and keep maintaining it when those checks stop coming in because most other jobs, like I speak to quite a few of my friends about this, where as an athlete, you almost some people say as an athlete you die twice where you retire and then you die properly. But the
Yeah,
reality is that
yeah,
you're exposed to a truncated period of success where from 20 to 30, let's say, let's give you that long,
Yeah.
you are on an exponential trajectory where each contract you should be having significant jumps. And then suddenly there comes a day where there's nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing in. And it's up to you of what you've done in terms of managing it, in terms of sustaining it. Whereas, say, let's take finance as an example. If I go on a grad scheme, then become a junior associate, work my way up, you would expect, considering you'll keep building the foundations,
Yeah.
that you will not have a drop off as significant as unemployment and no transferable skills. And that's what athletes are faced with when they retire. It's yeah, you can run around a pitch, but what else can you do?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. or Professor Dennis Kimbrough. I'm fortunate enough to have connected with him, and he's written a book, Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice.
Mm,
Have you heard of that?
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to share. There's a few things I'm going to share with you
Mm.
as well. Later, I can send some stuff to you.
Yeah,
Which
brilliant. I'd appreciate that.
I've been fortunate enough to connect with some amazing people, and I think when you put yourself out there to connect, it's amazing. Like, for example, me connecting with you, I'm so grateful,
Mm,
because there's a message in this conversation.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? And there's value in this conversation because you've got an insight into the sports world, and the world outside of sport, which sometimes people don't think about.
mhm,
There's another chap, I think his name's Rod Smith, who he talks similar to you about how players struggle after they've been playing, and he mentions that some of the stuff that you've said, and he's come across another way to help those players, because of what he's experienced in his own life, having another stream of income or various streams of income as well. And one thing that's really impressed me is what Michael Jordan and other players have done now. What they're doing is they're taking equity
mhm,
in the sponsors that they get and the endorsements that they get. So instead of saying, I mean, Michael Jordan is an exception because he's got his own boots and everything under this particular brand, isn't he? But so he's grown. Obviously, he's a billionaire now. But it's about the others as well, to be wise and know you've got your career so short. Think about what you're going to do afterwards. But if you're going to get endorsements, don't just take the big contract. Get in the equity,
mhm.
in this, the sales of whatever, if they're buying your shirt or the percentage of the company. That's what Professor Dennis Kimbrough speaks about.
Mm,
And when he interviewed successful African Americans, especially the ones who have been successful, not just in sport, because it's not just sport,
mhm,
that people from our community are good at. There's people who are pioneers in a lot of things that people all over the world are using today, and it's come from that community.
yeah,
You
definitely.
and it's like in the personal development world as well. You've got people who you see regularly, but then you don't see a lot of people that look like us. You get Les Brown and people like that. But then there's a lot of people that are doing really good stuff, but you just don't see
Mm,
it. So that's why I'm saying there's a message in what we're doing right now,
yeah.
and I'd like to hear more about your view on when you went from Rugby Union to the NFL, and what that experience was like for you, and your thinking
Mm,
process about what you
mm.
wanted, like what you're doing right now. How did that come about?
So I'll break it into the decision to leave
Yeah,
rugby, which
yeah.
was at the time a very difficult decision. My dad was adamant that I shouldn't go. In the first year of my full time career at Worcester, after I'd graduated, I ended up breaking my back, and I was out for
Broke your
2 years.
back.
Yeah, I've got two screws in my back, so almost had to retire at 21. So to come back from that was huge, and to come back from that and start playing at a higher level and play my best rugby off of an injury like that, where most people would have called it a day.
Yeah.
And then to then tell my dad, "Yep, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm leaving. I want to go to America to play a sport I've never played before at the highest level." and it's gonna work. So it was a tough sell. My mum was on board straight away because she knows exactly what I'm like. When I say I'm going to do something, I'll get it done. But
Yeah,
my dad was more, why are you going to throw away kind of all that hard work where you're finally getting the traction? You want to play for England. You're finally on your way to having real success that you deserve in a sport that I played since I was 9,
yeah,
uh, albeit not like in proper setups. So then decided to leave because I didn't feel sorry. I didn't feel that
I'm just
I was
making
under.
some notes.
No
Sorry to be
problem.
moving backwards and forwards.
No, it's all good. Um, yeah, I didn't feel like I was understood in rugby. I didn't feel like I was listened to. I didn't feel like I was valued at all in that space, especially the
Oh,
team that I was in at the time.
yeah.
And I saw America as more of a meritocracy. My brother had played college basketball,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, so I'd been over to visit him numerous times and was getting scholarship offers basically on the spot because of what I looked like, my size, and the fact that I was an athlete.
But that
Decided
was a
to,
different part of it. You see, it's working in your favour.
yeah, definitely. But I decided not to go to high school or college because I thought that I wanted to finish my education, especially the foundation years in England.
Yeah,
Um, while I was injured with my back, went back to university and got my master's degree in international business
yeah,
because I didn't know if I was going to have to retire then. So I thought I might as well get something from the experience. And
yeah,
then ended up having my graduation, walking the stage in December of 2017, leaving my contract in December, and then flying to America in the January. So I had 2 pieces of paper behind me that time. So I'm
yeah.
bartering with my mum each time. I'm like, okay, I'll get a degree, and I
Your
can go
mum,
take a
honestly,
risk.
your mum, she just sounds amazing.
She's brilliant.
She's
She's
like the
honestly
kind of mum
brilliant.
that I hope I am. And you know, you listen, you know your children, you just know them, and you know
Yeah,
what they want is what they're going to go for. So you might
yeah,
as well, you know.
yeah. I think again, like this, I had a lot of obstacles when I was playing from pursuing that second degree.
Yeah,
People actively standing in my way at the club, which was completely unnecessary and unwarranted, considering that I couldn't play for 2 years and I wanted to
oh,
use my time
really?
wisely. Yeah. It was you're not going to be focused on rugby, and so
Oh,
if I let
okay.
anything slip and stuff like that. But the reality was I was just rehabbing the whole time. I needed something to keep my mind occupied because
Yes.
I was mentally struggling with chronic pain, trying to teach myself how to walk again. So
Was that
this
through
was
rugby
kind of putting
you
me
got that
through.
injury? Sorry to interrupt you.
So I had a car accident,
Oh,
and then went into the preseason, and then it all just went wrong because I tried to
yeah,
play through it.
yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of that perfect storm. But the
Wow.
thing that gave me the confidence in pursuing the new sport that I had no previous experience in was the fact that I had 2 degrees. So
Yeah,
same with the first rugby degree, and like picking up the phone, the consistent
yeah,
thread is have a piece of paper to fall back on to take the risk to
yes,
go and venture out. So undergrad, rugby, masters, American football.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so then went over there and ended up playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and was exposed to black success on a scale I had never experienced or witnessed
Yeah,
in
that must have
rugby.
been so eye-opening for you.
Incredibly, in rugby, I never had a black coach. I never had a coach that um, I felt really understood me, apart from my first coach that actually got me into rugby because um, he took the time to kind of get to know me as a person, and I'm still in contact with him to this day. But apart from my uncles and my dad, um, I spent my whole life waiting for, I guess, an external role model. And when I went to
Yeah,
America, I actually received one in Coach Tomlin, who's one of the most prolific and successful head coaches, regardless of race. And then you add the fact that his organization was an organization that's actively promoted more inclusion across the league with the Rooney Rule, trying to get people from diverse backgrounds, interviews to be able to become head coaching candidates and things like that. And 17 years now, I've had a black head coach who's never had a losing season. And my position coach was also a black man from Alabama. And I was exposed to like a different level of discipline, performance, expectation, and leadership that I had never had until that point. And so for me, it was a real seminal moment in my life in terms of
it's
really
incredible,
stepping into
isn't it?
myself. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible to see. with your own eyes and experience that, what a game changer for you to see the successes.
Yeah,
This is the
completely.
thing. This is what's going to help a lot of people, to actually
Mhm.
see and know about the successes. Um,
Mm.
I suppose now with social media and stuff like that, the access, you've got Coach Prime, who's, he can,
Brilliant.
he, I was,
He's
I was,
good.
I was hearing some stuff about him. Obviously, he's a very, like you probably not know, he played, I think it was
Baseball, yeah.
and NFL, which is unheard of as well.
Mhm.
Um, but it was about the way he looks after the people that he's coaching.
Mhm.
It's a game changer,
Mhm.
where people, you probably already know about it, where like you said, there's people strong that come from like disadvantaged backgrounds and stuff like that. Some of them with parents in jail right now.
Mhm.
Some of the players that are playing for Colorado, some of the parents are literally in jail. They haven't got a father figure. And this is what fascinates me about him, in that he goes for the emotional side of the person. He gets
Mm.
he gets to know them. What
Mhm.
gets them going? Have you heard about what he's doing?
No, of course. I follow him. I listen to his stuff daily
Oh,
because
do you?
he keeps me motivated. No, I'm a huge fan of Coach Prime Dion Sanders, and
Yeah,
his success is unparalleled. He's done stuff on the field, and I think I take lessons from his journey as a two-sport professional,
yeah,
and my lessons that I've learned from playing for Coach Tomlin and Steelers organization,
yeah.
living in America um, during George Floyd as well, and seeing how,
Oh, were you there then?
yeah, and seeing how Coach
Goodness
Tomlin dealt
me.
with that within the organization, and then now coming back, and it's not that there's a dearth of leadership, black leadership in this country. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more, again, what we've spoken about already is the visibility side. I think
Yeah,
obviously if you look at America as a populous nation, there's the numbers far outweigh and exceed what we have in terms of just the general population here. Like Texas is 2.5 times the size of the UK.
yeah,
That's one state, and so being able to see more examples on a pure numbers basis of black success in America has really renewed my sense of self, and then what I've come back with and the mentorship and things that I'm trying to help the next generation, whether it's with NFL Foundation, NFL Academy, or just some of the people that I mentor and have conversations with, because I've had valued mentors and I do have incredible mentors in my life. So it's
yeah.
passing that information on,
I love that.
which is
Absolutely
which
love
is the
it.
most important, which is the most important part, because it's very hard to do it yourself. I think to date,
Yeah,
apart from my parents, I've had to do everything myself, and now I've got some really trusted and valued mentors who are giving me some real sage advice and nuggets of wisdom that
yeah.
have really had um, huge results in a short amount of time. Actually, I'd say, because I only stopped playing professional sport in the summer of 2022, so last year.
Oh, okay, last year.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
it's only been just over a year now, and what I've been able to do in that time since it's been quite remarkable.
So that's so interesting. This is what I believe in 100% about mentorship. People with people who understand, because there's a lot of coaches and mentors out there, isn't there?
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
but you linked your mentors with the results that you've had, and that's the key.
Mhm.
The ones that have got the results and help you get the results.
Mhm.
So what would you say has been the benefit, like the kind of mentors that you have? What
Mhm.
kind of mentorship is this? Is it like sports mentorship? Is it mindset? Is it, what kind of mentorship is it that you feel is of value to you?
I actually have, I think I have about 10
Yeah,
mentors.
Cloud of
Yeah,
Mentors is a book, I think,
yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's almost like I
Yeah,
have my own personal boardroom for different areas of my life
yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm trying to progress in.
yeah,
Um, so some of it, say, for my broadcasting career, my legal career, my mentorship, and how I can have more of an impact in the community. Um, and it's just giving me and distilling their year, that most of them are um, older than me, my parents' age almost, and it's
yeah,
given me the wisdom that and it's multiracial as well, but
Yeah.
give me the wisdom that they've had over 30, 40 years of professional experience,
Oh,
where
perfect.
I've left professional sport and I'm trying to transition into a life as a professional. And
Yeah.
it's new. I've been studying and done all my education, but it's actually a new challenge. It's a new environment, and it's a um, new arena to forge a career in. And being able to make the right decisions and precise decisions without wasting time, I think, is crucial. And I think that's why my execution's been extremely high level. I mean, since I left rugby last summer, I'm now on the RFU judicial panel, and sit on their inclusion and diversity panels, because I'm trying to change some of the things that I experienced as a player, and that's across the whole national tree of rugby. Um, Also moving to the discipline side for on-field decisions, red cards, yellow cards, and sanctioning.
Mm,
Then I'm an inspector for British Boxing Board of Control as well, so doing ringside regulation and kind of policing of the sport.
mm.
Then I've also broadcast the Super Bowl for BBC Five Live. I'm broadcaster for Talk Sport, and I'm doing the London Games coming up this month, which is incredible. I have my own podcast with the NFL, um, which has only just come out. Gosh, I forget some of it.
You know,
Uh,
this is
Completing the
incredible.
bar, obviously, which was a huge one. That was the main focus of the last year, was to complete the bar, and then
What was that last one? Sorry.
completing the bar. So being called to the
Oh,
bar.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was the most significant one. That's my lifelong ambition.
yeah,
And I wrote that down in my primary school yearbook, where it said, "What are you going to do?" And it says 2003, I
yeah.
think it was. I put that I was going to be a barrister then. So being able to bring that to fruition in the past 12 months has honestly been incredible.
You know what, Christian? So what you're explaining, I don't know if you realized at the time when you was at school writing that down, but that is huge. That plays a huge part in reaching the goals, writing them down
Mm,
like that. All the, you know, all the best known mindset mentors and people who teach this stuff, they always say, write it down.
mhm. No,
It's
I'm a big believer in that.
Steve Harvey
Big
says
believer in
write
that.
it down. Everybody says it,
Yeah.
write it down,
Hmm.
because especially your mum probably says write it down, because because it's a huge impact. You know, Einstein taught, didn't he, that everything's of energy, everything's a vibration. Get yourself in that, match the vibration with the things you want, and that will come into your life. You know, because you're living.
Even from scripture, it's like write it down and make it plain, and it will happen.
Yes, that was in
Mm,
my mind. I don't know
mm,
what's going on here, but you're saying things I'm thinking about.
mm. Yeah.
Write it down and make it plain. I think it was I think it might be Zechariah or Malachi. One
Mm,
of the minor prophets wrote that. It's so true. Write it down, make it plain. I think Stephen Harvey talks about that as well. So writing it down, I write down like every day. I write stuff
mm,
down. And it's about putting it out there, and it doesn't matter how it's going to come about. You just know, like what you've done. You pivoted so many times. You just know when something's coming your way. You know what you want, and you know that's a fit, and so you can make quick
yeah.
decisions. You
Hmm.
know, making quick decisions once because you know what you want. You know it's the right decision. You
Yeah.
don't have to waste
So much
time.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
don't waste time.
I was to be so much more decisive about what suits your purpose and what doesn't.
Yeah. So with all the stuff that you're doing, um, what do you feel at the moment is something that you're really going for, and the the mission that you're on, because it sounds like,
Mm,
from what you've been saying, it sounds a lot to me that you're it's about representation, in the
mm,
right way, and changing from within, you know, some of the
yeah.
environments that you've been involved in. Would that be accurate enough to say?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I left rugby, and the the exhale that I was able to have when I was in America really confirmed what I wasn't able to put my finger on, because I'd grown up in rugby and I didn't know any different, in terms of the acceptance and feeling welcomed and valued.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, coming back to England, returning to rugby for a season, and I played for Harlequins, which was the best and most welcoming professional environment I've only been in two, and
Yeah.
it was completely different from the other one. But then still, facts and feelings remained within rugby as an ecosystem that
Yeah.
have never really sat well with me. And so, in terms of like short, medium, long term goals, obviously they're different, but all feed into the same overarching idea. And that is it. It's changing from within. It's representation. I look at myself and what I'm trying to do in terms of securing pupillage in the legal world. And you look at a lot of the chambers websites, and on the junior end of the bar, there's no relatability there. There's nothing that
Yeah.
would allow someone from certain backgrounds to feel, oh, I can do that. I can be a commercial barrister. And if they haven't got double first top of Oxford, and the problem is, I actually had an interview for Oxford when I was coming out of secondary school, and similarly to the finance interviews, over that 2 days of the weekend, it was evident you stand out. There's not too many
Yeah.
people who look like you at the weekend, and it was a long shot. And when I got the rejection, it's something that like Michael Jordan said, I took it personally.
Okay.
um, I think my track record over the last 10 years would say I came out on top.
Yeah.
Uh, but also everything in God's time, it wasn't actually, it probably wouldn't have been the right opportunity for me anyway. If I
Yeah.
look at what I've done now, I wouldn't have been a professional athlete if I'd gone to Oxford. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But that pipeline to get these pupillages and commercial pupillages that I'm trying to get, if you haven't got on the ladder on the bottom rung, you can't go back and change that. I
No.
can't go back to being 17 years old and get into Oxford as a black student,
Yeah.
to then have the opportunity to 10 years later get the top pupillages, get
Yes.
do you know what I mean? So the pipeline already isn't there.
Yeah.
And so whether it's rugby, whether it's like the legal space, and even in sport, trying to be a student athlete, but a professional athlete,
Yeah.
who's a student as well,
Yeah.
and the obstacles I faced with trying to pursue that as well. And then now I look at the number of rugby players who are pursuing further education and things like that, when I was kind of banging my head against, I had to hide that I was doing my masters for a
No
couple of years.
way. Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Until I could show, look, I can do it. I'm juggling it. It's not a problem.
See, this is why people in sport struggle to transition to other different things, because it's almost like they're prevented for some reason they're prevented from pursuing, things beyond. It's such a short career. You'd have thought they'd be encouraged to
I think they are. I think they are. I think they are increasingly now.
yes.
But at the time, and with where I was, there are a few people internally that I had the confidence of, and
Yeah.
they well aware and helped me.
Yeah.
But in terms of the person at the top, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I remember, but there's so many things that you brought up. But I remember when my daughter was going to nursery, and one of the girls in the nursery her boyfriend was a professional footballer. And she said, if you ever need me out of hours, then I'm happy to look after her. So we did that a few times. So we went to the house and stuff like that. And I was talking to him, and he was saying that they get a lot of free time. And
Let's then play Xbox.
exactly, he was saying, and this is where, sometimes you can end up gaming and gambling and all that kind of stuff. But then he said, they are encouraged to maybe invest in properties and stuff like that. And you've got people like, maybe, is it Gay Neville, or one of them, who's got loads of a big portfolio of property and stuff like that. Yeah. But not all of them actually managed to transition very well. But it's good that at least they're, like you said, maybe things are changing now, where they're, encouraging to think about beyond your career, because it can be a mental struggle. Mental health can be a huge issue if you're not aware of what's coming.
No, hugely. I faced that firsthand when I broke my back. I think that's why I always kept studying throughout my career, because I knew it could be over, and then I wasn't going to be someone who was defined by a 5 to 10 year period of my life, and then I'm 50, 60 years old, and I've not done anything since.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about what you're doing, because you've got the background where you've been in the sports world at a high level, and you're working as a you're going to be going forward as a barrister where you know you can represent people and get involved in from a different angle with that background as well, and you can represent the Black community as well. So you know, all those things, it's just like it's perfect for what us as a community we need to see. We need to see this. You know, I'm just interested to find out the angle you're going to be involved in law as a barrister. What is it that you think you're going to be doing in that world? What's your mission?
So the practice areas I want to go into are commercial, sport, media, employment, and some personal injury and professional negligence. So all areas that I've had first-hand experience of throughout my playing career, but then also, so I'll be able to build a practice with deep personal meaning, but also impact, because like I was saying, with the commercial space, there are very few Black practitioners who are commercial barristers at the top end. So in terms of the visibility of that side, as well as the fact that you have to be able to get into the rooms at the highest level with the highest value deals to then be able to have significant
into those rooms.
Exactly. Because traditionally, and I know it's firsthand because my dad was a police officer who then transitioned to the criminal bar. The criminal bar, as we've seen, barristers have been going on strike because underpaid, underfunded. And those are typically the areas of the bar that Black people have access to, because it's not as well remunerated. And so in terms of the selection criteria, it might not be as rigorous as, say, more of the blue chip chambers who are looking for the high commercial value work. And I've experienced that firsthand with my own upbringing, but also, like I said before, it's who's the next person who's going to be able to think that I could be a commercial barrister in that space. And then also the commercial side feeds into the sports ecosystem, which feeds into the media and intellectual property ecosystem. And then in terms of the employment side of things, I've experienced contractual difficulties with my playing career. And also, I know that within the country, there are employment issues in terms of discrimination, labor discrimination, access to opportunities. And I know even from my work on the inclusion and discrimination panel that those are the same things that happen in the workplace. Like my workplace was a professional sporting environment, which is highly pressurized and didn't have the same HR policies, let's say it that way, in terms of how people can treat you and talk to you and act. And that's what happened in the panel. So taking those lessons and learnings, I would want to have an area of my practice involved in that, so I could actually have some impact and make a difference. And then with the personal injury side, I've had 9 big surgeries in my career, most of which could have been avoided. And so I understand also, I had a big car accident that I had to then play through. And so in terms of that side, I also have first-hand experience with trauma, physical and mental.
So I'm just, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, you know, I've got to stay connected with you because I've got to stay connected with you because there's just so many areas where we can, you know, encourage and be visible, you know, because my background is slightly different from yours in that I've come from institutions like orphanages and children's homes and stuff like that. And I know from my perspective, my identity, you know, I had to sort of build my own identity because I didn't see people that looked like me, in, you know, doing very well. And I've noticed that those of us who come from such an underprivileged background, I could have gone either way. I could have gone, you know, with my mates, I could have just roamed the streets and just caused problems because no one cares anyway. So we can do what we want. Do you know what I mean? That's my background. And it's like, it wasn't until someone in my school that said, oh, you know, you're quite good at, you know, sports and stuff like that. Why don't you sort of go for it? So then I started, you know, to dedicate myself to that. But it's those kind of people with my background who haven't had the chance or don't feel they've got the opportunity to even think of themselves in that way. That I think once they've got the right mindset and got the mentorship that they need, that's something that I think we could help with. Do you know what I mean?
That's also where I think that's why I really value the combination of sport and education, because I know for myself it's the discipline from my sporting experience is what's given me the success I've had to date.
For
Outside,
sure, for sure.
and that's where I'd encourage. I think fewer people and children are engaged in sport, and I think it's a huge shame because you learn life skills that you can't learn in other
Definitely,
ways.
definitely, Christian. And I would say that sport saved my life. Definitely, I would say that because of exactly what you said. And I'm so excited to see where your journey takes you. Because my daughter wants to be a barrister, actually.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, she wants to be a barrister. She said, but I don't want to be one of these barristers where you can't help, us.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? So she's excited. So she's going to do the conversion. Not yet.
Brilliant.
She just started the second year.
Yeah.
But she also a teacher was considering her to go to Oxford. But then she said, she didn't go for it simply because she said, I don't want to feel othered. And I also want my mental health is really important to me. And that's coming from her, and I think she made the right decision, where she's gone, where very diverse. She feels that she fits in and stuff like that. She's loving it. She said, maybe if I want to do my master's, maybe I could consider that, but I don't know. But at the end of the
Also,
day,
that undergrad, those 3 years are so formative socially in terms of like, being a young adult. Like you would want to be in a space that's welcoming.
Yes, and that's exactly what she's found. And so she's really enjoying herself. But I just want to say to you, Christian, I think you are an inspiration to our community. And I'm so happy that you're working from the inside. You're working in and a very powerful position to be in, because you can open the doors to and help when people see you what you're doing. You're going to make huge changes. And this chap that I've been connected with, Professor Kimbrough, he said that diversity it's not just about ticking boxes. It's about being on the decision making, involved in the decision making, and that's the difference. It's not just about having people in the room, it's about having them as part of the process. And that's what sometimes people get wrong.
Yeah.
So to hear that you're involved in the panel and stuff like that is I'm just so happy to see it. So happy. And I think you're an incredible person. And the world needs you, and you're out there and you're doing what you need to do. So I'm so grateful that you've given time to me today. And if there's anything at all, because I mean, I've got some really good connections with what I've been doing in LinkedIn, and just generally in the mindset and sports and coaching, mental health, and just generally believing in yourself. That's where I am. That's how I help people. So I'd love to stay connected with you.
Yes, definitely.
And you're going to be an encouragement to a lot of people. And with all that you've experienced and all that you're doing right now, the world's looking a better place, Christian.
I hope so. I think my stubbornness and I've been very blessed because my grandfather came to this country and obviously search better life, education, and be able to build on their legacy. But also my whole thing is I heard this person say it once and I was like, it's so powerful. It's what kind of ancestor do you want to be? Which is incredibly that's kind of my ikigai, that's my like underpinning thing, is like what kind of ancestor am I going to be? Like the same way my granddad, who rode a horse around the Caribbean as a police officer, carpenter, moved to Walthamstow. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So what can I do to build on that? Because what I'm doing and the heights that I'm hoping to achieve, I want to really make a huge impact, and not just for myself.
I'm so excited I'm so excited to see what's going to happen with you, because you know, and we know it's Black History Month next month, but it's about every month is important, you know. And to see people like yourself who are going to make such a huge difference, and that's what we want. We want to make a difference, and you're doing that already. And what I like about you is that you're not afraid to say what needs to be said. You know, and and to know that, and not just to be someone who's ticking boxes and just happy to be there. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have an impact. So I'm really excited to share what we've been talking about. If you want a copy of this, I can send you a copy of this.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. And there's a few people I can think of, I think, that you would love to connect with, actually.
Brilliant.
There's an NFL player who's helping some of the players about with income and, you know, stuff like that. Not necessarily having another job, but it's about let your money work for you. Because he said what you said, you know, 90% of people lose their money. And then you've got Professor Kimbrough, who he's a legend. I don't know if have you heard of him?
No. I need to do some research.
Yeah. I'll honestly,
Can you send me some literature and things like that?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm meeting. He's actually he's coming to the UK in February.
Oh, brilliant!
He's coming to the UK in February, and this is the person who's in his 70s. He's seen the changes. He's spoken to numerous Black Americans who've been successful through so much difficulty, and you know, he's interviewed millionaires, he's interviewed people who are successful in sport with very, very difficult circumstances, and he said that 90% of them didn't even finish their education. You know, and so it's not just about education, it's about the mindset, the will to be successful. And he is an absolute legend. So yeah, I'll send some stuff to you. He's written a book, written a few books, and he's a world-renowned speaker.
Oh, brilliant!
World-renowned, and his movie's coming out soon.
Oh, wow!
In Congrats to Black Choice. So yeah, we made some good connections here, Christian.
Yes,
so I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to see.
It's an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
It's my pleasure, and you know what? Sometimes reaching out to people, it pays off. You know.
Yeah, definitely. It really does. It really does.
You have to do it. Why not?
Yeah.
No, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly.
So do you mind if I take a picture of us? It's
of course.
Screenshot. Because I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. Right, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I always like to post little things. So I'm so excited, and thank you so much for sharing your time with me, Christian.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Very excited for the future. Let's stay connected.
Of course, definitely. Have a great week.
Take care. Love to your mum and your dad.
Yes.
Especially your mum.
Yeah, definitely, especially mum.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.